resolutions preceding this appointment? I'm back to Mr. Mahat with the question of voter turnout. According to your presentation on PowerPoint this afternoon, you said there were 45,994 voters were identified through Kim's kit, and this is out of 46,229. Sorry, that Kim's kit were used in 45,994 polling stations out of 46,229. That gives us 235 polling stations, which I assume I did not use Kim's kit. Therefore, assuming that the manual system was employed to identify them, are you able to say the numbers from these 235 polling stations? I saw some figures like 860 or 86,000, 114,000. So if you can just clarify that for us. And again to Mr. Mahat, because he dealt with figures. Mr. Umtata yesterday presented also a PowerPoint to demonstrate that 1.6 million votes were cast or were streaming in many hours after the closure of voting. If you can also respond to that question. Mr. Gumbo, both Mr. Issa and Mr. George Oraro, Senior Counsel, in their submissions talked about how Kenyans were following the streaming of results live. And then something happened and that stopped. Can you explain to us what may have happened for this to have stopped? My lady, those are all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Council. Again, your submissions were most helpful. We thank you. Professor Muigai, you said that the whole dispute revolves around numbers. And you were before us in 2017, and the question of Section 83 of the Elections Act was prominent at the time. Morgan versus Simpson was prominent. You were Attorney General at the time. A number of things happened around Section 83 post our judgment. My question is, looking at the qualitative, the quantitative test, and Professor Kindiki raised the question too around Section 83. I had it before he raised it. Could you speak to it? And what is the approach you should take in this case regarding the test to apply? Number two, again to your team, and any of you could answer it. It's not a flippant question. I'm raising it deliberately because I have reason to. I know that the events of 15th August are in our minds, but remember that there was an extra day by which Mr. Chebukati could have declared the result. Why did he not wait until that day? Violence or no violence? Perhaps you have another reason. Reach out to the commissioners, the four that are now named the four. Try and reach a consensus. Address the question of the 27 constituencies so that these suspicions that have now cropped up would not have been an issue. Is there any other reason why he did not take advantage of the extra day to do what he had to do? Mr. Oraro, I understand where you are coming from. I understand where your clients are coming from. I understand where Mr. Kenyo and Mr. Kihara and the rest are coming from. We are now in a spot where public office is becoming exceedingly dangerous. Falsehoods are being peddled, not just to those on this side, but more even on this side and those outside. So I understand the need for you to say, my clients would like to clear their names because they've been mentioned in these proceedings. But let us come back to the proceedings, the